Up next on UBC, brought to you by
Keep the lights on. Use Airtel Money to pay for all your Yaka bills conveniently. Open the My Airtel app to buy Yaka units. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
Hello and welcome to the UBC News Tonight, where we do it not because it's competition, but because it's our mandate to educate, inspire and inform Uganda. My name is Wadulo Mark Arnold. Let's take a look at tonight's top stories. Now, top stories tonight: Museveni condemns coups as a means of changing governments. The Prime Minister Nabanja in bilateral talks with the Chinese ambassador to Uganda. Furthermore, the Speaker, Jacob Olanya, tells youth leaders to use available opportunities to prosper. And then the UBC UMC Vision Group want more funds. Thank you for joining us once again. We'll now give you the news in detail. Now, to start out, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has spoken out to the recent military coups that have happened in Africa, saying that they are unnecessary and outlawed by the African Union. In the 14-page statement released this Friday, Museveni observed that military coups that have taken place in Mali, Guinea, must be evaluated by the African freedom fighters to correctly take a principled stand. In his statement, President Museveni re-echoed his condemnation of the recent coups as earlier carried out by France 24 television channel during an exclusive interview. Museveni says that when it comes to these new coups in West Africa, 3 questions must be asked, including: what is the ideological stand of these coup makers, and whom are they overthrowing in terms of ideology and aims? What right do these coups have? What right do these coup makers have when it comes to interfering with our destiny? Museveni says he has failed to know the ideological position of the coup makers, adding that there are clues that show that they may not be part of the freedom fighters. According to Museveni, the present chaos in many parts of Africa is on account of not fully implementing the goals of the elder freedom fighters, adding that it is for that reason that he cannot give up the struggle for these strategic goals. Furthermore, the Prime Minister Robina Nabanja has met with the local government leaders of Kayunga district to discuss matters related to service delivery in the area. Now, this was during a follow-up meeting she organized at her office in Kampala.
The Prime Minister, Right Honorable Robina Nabanja, has called upon the district leaders of Kayunga to embrace and utilize the opportunities availed by the NRM government to enhance development in the area. She said they need to focus on supporting leadership that has capacity and will to serve the people.
Tebandike politics inondo tetuna kuba mu Somali kusembayo oli mu kusumulula osumulula bakuja batya kusumulula osula ebirika byoyaga So njagala okumusaasira muntu wange mwana muto tanaba kuyiga naye kyemulina okumanya nti gavumenti ya NRM amazima eri committed okulaba nga tuwa service. Tekyansanyusa kulaba abantu bali nga tebalina bwe batambula. In fact njagala kwongerako eryata eddala laberameka amaka abiri kubanga amasomero gagenda kuddamu ssaawa yonna. Abaana bangambye abasinga basomera eno Banyiraalo si kyekyo kakati eryato limu litwala abaana bameka nga 5 oba 6 ate almost bamalamu essaawa osanga ekkubo liggadde kati 2 gabe nga galeeta 2 nga gakola ki nga gazzaayo.
The Premier cautioned against disunity among the leaders and urged them to focus on service delivery. She pledged to provide food relief to the flood victims in Kayunga and said the government is making plans to tarmac the road in Kayunga.
Wabagamba tugenda ko kudokolas. Ogo president yamulazanya wabaungu balwalamu ekufutulese olujewa setezo. Ogudo wa NRM government. Amasanyalaze ga NRM government. Egwanye etunje liye Kayunga NRM government.
The district leaders thanked the Prime Minister for taking the initiative to resolve conflicts among the area leaders and pledged to work with the government to foster unity in the area and enhance service delivery. Doreen Nasasra reporting for UBC News.
Furthermore, the Prime Minister Robin Nabanja has held bilateral talks with Chinese ambassador to Uganda, His Excellency Zeng Lizhong, to discuss a wide range of issues with particular emphasis on how to develop cooperation. The meeting took place at the office of the Prime
Uganda's relationship with China dates far back as 1962. Today, China is one of the leading trading partners in Africa and Uganda in particular. Chinese companies have contributed significantly to the building of infrastructure in Uganda. While hailing the Chinese cooperation with Uganda, Prime Minister Robin Nabanja asked her guest to expand Chinese investments in Uganda to include agriculture modernization. She informed the ambassador about Uganda's parish development model, which is expected to increase production in agriculture and therefore the need for modern agro-processing technology.
The relationship we have between the two sister countries, that is the Beijing and Kampala. I want to thank you for a number of numerous companies that are helping us to develop our country. We have a number that I know are government owned. And of course, I also want to welcome you to my office. And first of all, thank you for being our link between the government of China and the Republic of China and Uganda.
On his part, the Chinese ambassador to Uganda, His Excellency Zeng Lizhong, congratulated Uganda for the progress so far made. He particularly hailed the president for his effort to pacify the Great Lakes region.
China and Uganda are helping each other. We have provided some PPEs and some vaccines, experience sharing with Uganda side to help each other to conquer this pandemic.
The ambassador pledged continued mutual cooperation between the two countries. He said China will broaden investments in Uganda's established industrial parks. So far, the Chinese government has invested in a cross-section of industrial parks in Uganda. He assured the Prime Minister that the Chinese government will provide more COVID-19 vaccines to Uganda to ensure that the whole country is adequately covered. In another development, the Prime Minister also met a delegation from Aga Khan Development Network led by Amin Mawaji, the diplomatic representative. The Prime Minister, Robin Nabanja, thanked the Aga Khan Development Network for supporting Uganda's development effort. The Aga Khan has invested in health, education, infrastructural development, gender, and women empowerment, among others. The leader of the delegation, Amin Mawaj, said the Aga Khan Foundation has been here for more than 100 years. He said development is their major focus. Doreen Nasasira reporting for UBC News.
In another development, the body of the Metropolitan General Ranga is slated to arrive tonight from Greece via Egypt, and burial scheduled for Monday next week. The Vice President, Major Jessica Alupo, is the chief organizer for the burial arrangement. She assures the Orthodox clergy of a befitting send-off to the late Archbishop.
The purpose of today's meeting is to get briefs from different committees which I am told you put in place, and to know how prepared we are, because tonight is when the body of the Archbishop arrives in Entebbe. And from the last time we met, I think the newest update which I have, when Chris gave me a brief from Nambona, is that I got in touch with His Excellency the President with a request to meet the Patriarch. The last time we met here, we said the Patriarch is coming here after 40 days from the date of his death. So His Excellency the President has accepted. We will meet him. There is no problem about that. Then secondly, we are saying that in the burial, I represent him, and then at an appropriate time, we will organize with the leaders of the church and the family a small ceremony where he will come to lay the wreath in the grave. And then, in terms of the budget, he guided that I gave him wisdom from the Attorney General. So when I shared that with him, he told me that now if public service has come on board, there is no problem about that in terms of the budget. But if public service is constrained, he's still keeping his window open for us. And please, if there is any way you can even send a special thank you as a Minister of Foreign Affairs to Ambassador Elizabeth Mateo, who personally moved from Rome to Athens to ensure that every procedure is done expeditiously, and she stayed there until the body was loaded in the aircraft, and then that's when she left to go to Rome yesterday. Thank you very much, Foreign Affairs. You have been so good to us. As much as the government chief has also been extremely good to us and continue being good. Thank you for those vans, and also your physical presence and ideas. The wisdom of the Attorney General, we have already talked about it. We welcome you to the meeting. So I would like to thank His Excellency the President for being a true father who cares for all his citizens in the country. And when you go there in the church, tell them that we are doing all this on behalf of His Excellency the President. It is his instruction which we are following to make sure that we work with the church and the family to have a smooth ceremony. But Chris is the one who has been carrying all this.
I thought you were going to convert.
Process by
Wow. The Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Bolanya, has urged youth leaders to use the opportunity that they have to address the challenges that they face. Bolanya was speaking to youth leaders at the 4th Youth Parliament held at the Chambers this Friday.
Ezra Ambasize Rwashande.
The 4th Youth Parliament this Friday started with the election of Ambasize Ezra as Speaker and Asina Halima as his deputy. While addressing Youth Council leaders at the 4th Parliament, Speaker of Parliament Jacob Bolanya said youth should not wait to become members of Parliament to cause change.
Wherever you are, don't wait to be anything else or anybody else. The struggle begins from exactly where you are. That's your front line. So if the if the target is youth empowerment, solving youth unemployment issues, the struggle begins from where you are. That's your front line. The question is, how do you extend your front line, join with others to extend the frontiers for the fight against those challenges that you are targeting? So the struggle actually begins from where? Don't wait. I'll first be a member of parliament, then I said, no. Where you are is your front line.
Referring to the daily parliamentary prayer, Ola urged youth leaders never to lose focus whenever they deliberate on issues concerning the people they represent.
And consider all matters that shall come under their deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory and to advance the good of those whose interests you have committed to their charge. That's the prayer. In other words, whatever you do, never lose focus of the interests of the people that God has committed to your charge. And that's the point we keep making every day in this house. Remember them.
To the chairperson of National Youth Council, Jacob Eyeru, youth as emerging leaders should start having conversations that are consistent with global interests and sustainable development, not just for their own selves, but for generations to come.
The National Youth Council believes that the 9.5 million youth population in Uganda can lead the way in achieving a better world of action against climate change. We believe our dreams should be big enough to cause physical impact, and our hope should be reflected in the actions and introduction of a paradigm shift in how we act from what we say in this country.
Among the 7 motions that were overwhelmingly supported included that urging government to put in place post-COVID recovery measures for the economic transformation of youth and employment opportunities, and the one urging government to address the mushrooming teenage pregnancies and their implications on the girl-child education and their social entrepreneurship. The National Youth Parliament is an important political legislative space for a creative advocacy vehicle that brings together youth from civil society organizations, Uganda National Students Association, and the country at large to deliberate on issues of youth. Bernard Higa, UBC News.
Now, furthermore, negligence and human errors by road users on level crossing areas have been blamed for the rampant train accidents in the country. Uganda Railways Corporation manager Ochaki Abubakar now wants the public to take maximum caution while crossing the railway.
Following the train accident in Kireka near Kampala, the operations manager, Uganda Railway Corporation, Ochaki Abubakar, has urged the public to take maximum caution while crossing the railway.
Road users also have an obligation that if I'm driving, I should not dare park or stop on a level crossing. It's like committing suicide, really. Sometimes I may not be there to stop somebody from committing suicide. I should not dare park on a level crossing. Even if your vehicle gets a mechanical problem on a level crossing, the option is push it off.
Ochaki notes that the biggest percentage of train accidents are caused by the road users neglecting the rail operating procedures.
The other one is negligent on the side of us other road users. I've seen live people park lorries. Somebody leaves a lorry on the line. A taxman parked on the rail line in a level crossing. He started disembarking passengers on the crossing.
As part of minimizing train accidents, Uganda Rail Lines minimized the speed limit to a train to 40 kilometers per hour from 70 kilometers per hour, using of train guides along level crossings and the hooting.
We also do what we call speed restrictions. For every place that we see is not well set, we reduce the speed, both in our system, but also physically. We make sure the speed is reduced. Our current, like that train yesterday, it was moving at about 25 kilometers, 30 kilometers per hour. It's not true. We don't have those magnets which people keep talking. I remember you see them when I was a young man. They are magnets that it can know. We don't. To the best of my knowledge, the trains we have in Uganda and the trains they manage, we don't have those mechanisms.
The locomotive train can take approximately 5 to 10 meters to brake, but should the driver brake instantly, chances are high that the train will capsize.
Once a driver gets an obstacle, chances of immediate braking will not be easy. If he immediately brakes, two things will happen. The train will capsize. That's what we call jacking in train operation. It was a loaded train with about 700 people. So the driver had to engage such that he increases his speed so as to surmount that gradient. So in that case, when you are a road user, you are driving, and the guy has surmounted the gradient, chances of him stopping are also limited.
According to Uganda Railway Corporations Act, a train does not crash or knock, but it's crashed or knocked instead.
And the train, actually a train is always knocked. Whether it is a car, or it's a human being, or it's a vehicle, a train is knocked. It does not knock. I normally don't want to front this, but that's the reality according to the law.
The annual Uganda Railway report indicates that there are about 13 train accidents, which include 3 capsized, 6 derailments, and 4 level crossing accidents with no deaths registered. Sada Mubale, UBC News, Kampala.
Quite unfortunate right there. Thank you, Saddam. Now, Uganda Broadcasting Corporation management and other sister agencies are calling for further and timely funding by government to enable them serve their purposes. Now, this was highlighted by the Managing Director of Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, Winston Agaba, and other agency heads during the closing ceremony of the 2-day retreat organized by the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance.
A 2-day retreat for the Ministry of Information, Communications, Technology and National Guidance has ended.
If you watch UBC, the images are very good now. The images are good, the programming is improving, but we are not there yet, so we continue. And under the digital transformation program is where we are continuing to procure more transmission equipment so that we cover geographically the whole country eventually, but also ensure that the signals of UBC are clear but also stable.
Many of you might be aware that UBC, we do run 4 television stations, UBC TV, that is the main, Star TV, that is the Uganda station, Magic 1 HD, an entertainment channel mainly, and U24, that we are planning to make sure that it becomes a platform where all the communication on development is carried.
The meeting was characterized by agency and sector presentations.
Honorable members of Parliament, the lockdown has affected our businesses very adversely. For us who depend on largely advertising revenue, when you have schools closed, you have places of worship closed, you have entertainment places closed, we are basically out of business.
And lastly, commend more Mr. Don Wanyama of New Vision for the great work you have done in New Vision. But I want you to press harder. Both government and the MPs, make sure you get some allocation of funding to revive the local newspapers.
The Managing Director, Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, Winston Agaba, was among the day's key presenters.
Radio Uganda used to earn most of its revenue from the, unfortunately, death announcements, and you remember those announcements? That was the biggest revenue earner for Radio Uganda. The private stations came and all that revenue also went. So we shouldn't look at a national broadcaster as a revenue generating.
The Managing Director's presentation ignited discussions and praises from participants.
Welcome UBC Studios to Arua.
However, what remains clear is that agencies such as Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, Media Center, Uganda Media Council and Vision Group are operating in big debts.
Uganda Media Center premises is being rented at about 16 million shillings a month. We don't have that money in the budget. The PS has to look around to top up. The building is dilapidated.
As you have heard, we are not at all financed. We depend on meager earnings from a few registrations and accreditations.
It's so sad for me to tell you that since UBC was formed in 2005, because of the challenges of management and the misnomer as to how UBC would be funded, we were not remitting NSSF of the workers, neither were we paying URA, neither were we paying Gumeme, neither were we paying for all the services we were consuming. So the debt burden that we have is over and above 80 billion Uganda shillings that is already audited by Auditor General.
This was supported by the Parliamentary Committee and Permanent Secretary, Minister of ICT, Dr. Amina Zawede.
Let us put a strategy in place of how we are going to approach. A war for funds is a war. We must be very careful in the way we go there, because every sector is going to pull.
Almost not funded, because if we have a budget of a budget allocation of less than 0.5%, that looks like almost no funding. So there is no way we can be able to deliver what the sector has to do if we don't have the funding for that.
State Ministers for ICT and National Guidance, Joyce Nabosa Sebugwao and Godfrey Kayunga, graced the closing ceremony.
With this journey we have started together with you, I'm sure we shall go, we shall do a lot of work.
And we also want to appeal to you that we should look at UBC as an enabler. We shouldn't look at it as a business entity, because everybody thinks UBC should make money. If we say UBC should make money, then we shan't communicate as government.
The 2 days retreat was referred to as timely and worthy for the ministry's future. Robert Onyango, UBC.
In another development, members of the Parliamentary Committee on Natural Resources have commended the technology used in the construction of the Katosi water treatment plant. The Natural Resource Parliamentary Committee had paid a courtesy visit to the plant to ascertain whether there is value for money.
The Parliamentary Committee on Natural Resources has visited the just-finished Katosi water treatment plant to ascertain whether there is value for money. The committee, that was led by its chairperson and also West Budama legislator Emmanuel Otara, appreciated the diversity of programs that have been earmarked by National Water, especially fighting the challenge of climate change.
As government, we need to move a step ahead and allocate additional resources to enable National Water to perform its function. In addition to appreciating the fact that whatever they collect from the people, they just plow back to expand on the infrastructure that will enable them to deliver water to various parts of the country. So the commitment is there. My committee will address the issue of adequate resource allocation once we begin scrutinizing the ministerial policy statements.
Otara says they are to look into issues of budget allocation, and it is upon the corporation to lead in restoring the 3 billion shillings cut by government. He says National Water and Sewage Corporation has developed the capacity to supply free and safe water to all and has a clear strategy of taking up each and every citizen.
But of course, you know, the cut was as a result of the COVID situation. But water is life, and so that's why we believe the cut shouldn't have happened in the first place. And moreover, it happened when you are encouraging people to wash their hands. How do you make a cut? So we've now put it across to him to make the initiative of saying, yes, we want a supplementary budget.
The parliamentarians planted trees as a norm of the corporation. The Managing Director, National Water and Sewage Corporation, Dr. Engineer Silva Mugisha, says the visit of the committee and its appreciation will elevate them to another level.
They need to exercise their role, oversight role. And that was the purpose of this visit, to bring them here, give them the information, but also make them see one of the outputs of the loans that they approved. So for me, I think this was a very good occasion to bring the new members of the board on board as far as national water activities are concerned, the challenges we are facing, and also the plans we have for the future.
He, however, cited challenges of inadequate infrastructure that cannot cope with the population. Engineer Dr. Silva Mugisha attributed the unregulated deteriorating water quality to unregulated human activities in water catchment areas. The chairperson, Board, National Water and Sewage Corporation, Engineer Badru Chigundu, says the Katosi water treatment plant is among the projects finished on time.
I would like to thank you honourable members for the continuous support that has enabled us to blossom and effectively deliver services to Ugandans. I also wish to thank our partners who have continuously collaborated with us in delivering our mandate.
National Water and Sewage Corporation has strategic interventions to change its game, including the mobilization of funds to downstream sewage collection infrastructure for development. Sudat Kaye, UBC.
We'll now take a short commercial break and be back with more news tonight, so please stay tuned.
I smile when I think of you, Uganda, my home. My home, I dance when I look at you, Uganda, my home. Oh, my Uganda.
I know, with you I'll always stay forever. I know, because I feel that we belong together. My home. On my heart, mommy, oh my Uganda.
Hey, mama. At MTN, we look forward to starting another exciting journey together to grow our home, Uganda.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa only if we stay at home, observe physical distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly, or get vaccinated now.
Getting GoTV was the best decision James has ever made. Finding a good place to watch football was never easy, but it was costly until James discovered something big. Now he can finally enjoy the benefits of homegrown advantage with a decoder and 1 month of GoTV value. For just 25,000 shillings, enjoy the world's biggest leagues and cap competitions. GoTV Uganda, love it.
Welcome back. You're still watching the UBC News Tonight, broadcasting live from Naila Avenue. Now we'll take you to more news. The Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah, has urged youth leaders to the Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah, has pledged to support the fight against HIV and AIDS in Uganda, especially preventing mother-to-child transmission. Now, Oulanyah made this commitment at a conference in Kampala where it was aiming at ending HIV/AIDS among teenagers and Uganda by 2030, a presidential fast-tracking initiative to end AIDS. Let's take a look.
The Parliamentary Committee on Natural Resources has visited the just-finished Katosi water treatment
Uganda registers 145 cases of HIV infections daily, a situation attributed to teenagers who engage in early sexual activities. The Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah, is concerned about the scenario and commits to support the cause towards protecting the young generation.
Maybe this is something we should focus on as members of Parliament, as leaders of the committee. And I'm sure that is why you deliberately chose the budget committee and all these so that we speak to them and we re-inspire them that this is where the war begins. And that war must be fought in Parliament by budget and by policies that shift towards dealing with issues of HIV/AIDS. A father may be HIV positive, a mother may be HIV positive, but that child inside is protected absolutely from the virus.
This is the only way we can defeat this common enemy, when we accept responsibility of leadership.
Uganda needs about $8.2 billion to zero down HIV/AIDS in 10 years.
Those are the actual requirements as per our strategic plan. Although he mentioned the figure of 20 billion annually, which is the requirement for 2024-25.
People living with HIV/AIDS continue to preach about the need to sensitize Ugandans about the resistance of the virus.
This one, you take 2 small tablets, just like Monyera, very small, it's first line. But when you fail, you are switched to this one. It's like a seed of you call it a jackfruit, and you take 7 tablets a day. And when you fail, you become a burden to the nation. It's because of stigma. For example, you will not find an MP who goes for treatment in his constituency. And I'm saying this, you know it, because of the people, the stigma.
Increased teenage pregnancy and HIV/AIDS infections are attributed to the closure of schools in the ongoing countrywide partial lockdown.
We pledge and we put government to order such that they can at least reopen schools. We believe when these students go back to school, they will be clustered in their schools.
HIV prevalence in Kalangala stands at 18.8%, followed by the Kabarole with 14.5%, Mbarala 13.1%, Gulu 12.4%, Kalungu 11.7%, among others. Irene Faith Nantongo, UBC News.
Furthermore, Ministry of Health is reviewing maternal and newborn clinical guidelines to improve on the care and handling of mothers and babies. Now, this came out during the commemoration of the World Patient Safety Day on the theme Safe Maternal and Newborn Care.
Although Uganda has made strides in the improvement of maternal and child survival, there are a lot of gaps to be addressed, especially at grassroots level. During the commemoration of the World Patient Safety Day on the theme, Safe Maternal and Newborn Care, it was pointed out that a lot still needs to be done to improve provision of care and management of mothers and newborn babies.
Around Uganda, and we've realized that so many mothers do not have access to the basic need of ultrasound services, and yet WHO recommends 4 ultrasound scans per pregnancy. In Uganda today, 16 mothers are dying every day due to conditions involving pregnancy.
Emphasis on sub-counties. These are the sub-counties where the policy, we are now saying that every sub-county must have a health facility. And we are putting much emphasis also to ensure we have the VHs and home-based people, that the care, the health service care should trickle down, so that we move as the ministry, we move towards the down, to work with our people down. We network with all NGOs and all those that are within the line of ensuring community health service care.
One of the paths to better the care of mothers and children is the review of the maternal and newborn clinical guidelines. The aim is to make childbirth safer.
And this reminds us to act safely and respect our mothers as they come to our health facilities, to ensure that we get safe delivery by our mothers and healthy children. Also, we need to remember that as we emphasize the safety of our patients, we should not forget to emphasize the safety.
The World Patient Safety Day is commemorated to increase public awareness in healthcare safety and promote global action to reduce avoidable harm in healthcare. Adiana Kute, UBC.
In another development, Kamuli district is now calm after anonymous letters were dropped by thugs recently threatening to attack residents anytime in different sub-counties. Now, however, the intervention of police and other security agents, the anonymous letter mongers have been arrested, putting this matter to rest. Kamuli Resident District Commissioner Robert Motemo says that other security agencies are in control of the situation, as this report tells us.
Police in the Kamuli district has nabbed 2 suspects suspected of circulating and dropping anonymous letters threatening to attack communities.
The other people of Masaka who are claiming to be from the group of Masaka, who are throwing letters threatening the communities. Yeah, we got those issues in different parts of the district, like Namwendwa, Sozi municipality, Nabilumba, and the other parts.
The hoodlums had warned the residents not to take their letters for a joke, but to actually get ready for the attack.
It was aware, so they started beating the drums, making alarm, and blowing the whistle. So those people were arrested, and we have them in our custody. 2 of them. So that's how the community they are conscious of what is taking place.
Kamuli Resident District Commissioner Robert Motemo has now assured residents that security is in control to keep people's life and their property.
And I want to inform the viewers of UBC and the listeners that the security of Kamuli is calm. We received threatening letters that depict activities that are taking place in Masaka, but I want to thank my colleagues in security that we had to swing into action. We were able to engage the communities which received these threats in terms of those letters, and we were able to calm the situation. We have made several special deployment plans to these areas.
Kamuli District Police Commander ASP Mugisha Bob confirms this report.
Went on ground, sensitized the people on how we can manage together, because security starts with civilians. Before it had reduced, if you had to compare the months of May and June, it went down.
He said the community alerted the police and arrested 2 suspects who are currently detained at Kamuli Central Police Station. Community policing has been enhanced to provide public with tips in crime intelligence and sensitization of masses by security. Concerted efforts have been made to enforce the Ministry of Health guidelines to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
According to the SOPs and the guidance of the President, the cases have gone down. As we speak now, we have not less than 10 cases in our isolation ward. We have moved together as a district. Our COVID-19 task force meetings, which normally sits on Thursday and Fridays, have done a very big work. And I want to commend the work of the district's office for the surveillance activities that are moving alongside with us as the security handlers.
By this week, Kamuli District has only registered 10 positive cases of COVID-19. Haruna Mtesasira, UBC.
National Environment Management Authority has issued an environment restoration order to a developer to develop a nearly finished storied building in Chimbe Jachira Division, Wakiso District. The developer is accused of erecting a building in a wetland without a permit from the authority. He has been given 21 days to effect this order.
All natural wetlands and water bodies belong to government. It is therefore risky to carry out any development in a wetland or close to a water body.
The law, the National Environment Act, is clear
that natural resources, including wetlands like this one, are owned by the government on behalf of the people. So ultimately, it would not be right for an individual to have a land title in such an area.
It is for this reason that NEMA has given an ultimatum to a developer, the one Robert Kayunga, who constructed a commercial building in the middle of the swamp. The ultimatum demands immediate halt of dumping any foreign materials, including marram, hardcore stones, and vacate the wetland with immediate effect. Also, to demolish the structure, removing all the foreign material already deposited in the area, and restore the wetland into the original shape.
Just to immediately stop further dumping of foreign material, including marram, hardcore, and debris and other construction material. The developer has also been instructed to immediately vacate the wetland. And 3, to demolish all the structures that have been erected, the one in the background, and also remove all the foreign material that has been dumped in the wetland, as you can see.
By serving the developer, construction business was moving as usual, though the developer, the one Robert Kayunga, was nowhere to be seen.
21 days.
We have discoveed that he was backfilling the wetland with materials that are not indigenous to the wetland. And 3, he has also been draining. He has dug drainage channels that will help to take the water away from this area.
The developer is accused of not acquiring a permit through the Environment Impact Assessment process. This contradicts with the Section 157 of the National Environment Act of 2019.
Now, this person went ahead to undertake the project without doing the environment and social impact assessment, and for that reason, the project is illegal.
Failure to abide by the 21 days ultimatum, the authority will demolish the structure on the developer's cost.
September 2nd this year, we halted receipt, approval or consideration of issuing of permits or consideration for ESIAs, the environment and social impacts, in wetlands across the country, and that notice was made public.
The developer has a right to apply for the review of this environment restoration within the 21 days period. Abdul Nasir Lubwama, UBC News.
Soroti, Kabale and Karamoja still remain problematic districts with high levels of COVID-19 transmissions in the country as Kampala gains in the fight against COVID-19. Now, this was revealed by Dr. Henry Mwebasa, the Director General at the Ministry of Health, during the launch of Strategic Plan, Program for Accessible Health Communication and Education, aimed at addressing health issues at community levels.
During the launch of Strategic Plan of Program for Accessible Health Communication and Education, PACE, the Director General at the Ministry of Health commended the public for good fight against COVID-19, citing Soroti, Karamoja and Kabale as problematic districts with spike in transmission.
Kampala is doing very well. Soroti is a problem, a little problems in Karamoja and somewhere down in Kabale. But otherwise, if we could keep serious, I think we could save ourselves from a third wave. The total cases to date are 126,435, with a cumulative deaths of 3,110, which are many. Of course, 3,000 cases are very many. So,
the strategic plan launch was graced by the State Minister, General Duties at the Ministry of Health, Hanifa Kawoya, Director General at the Ministry of Health, PACE staff and implementing partners. PACE implements interventions aligned to the Ministry of Health priorities and aims at achieving universal health coverage for Ugandans through consumer-powered healthcare approaches that empower communities.
Supplement the Ministry of Health's service delivery to reach down to the communities. They have their other structures, for example, through the VHTs. These VHTs who are now heavily trained in areas of service delivery. And they reach in the communities to ensure that they find out that the outbreak diseases, they don't stop there, they go further to even give services, health services.
We are glad that we have been part of this journey with PACE and commit to providing the leadership to ensure that we achieve the strategic vision of the ministry and the vision of PACE, and that all of us contribute to improving quality health services for especially our rural poor.
The executive director of PACE notes that the next 5 years they will focus in some of the areas like digital solutions to convey health information to households.
The studies already saw by Uganda Bureau of Statistics that 75% of our households own at least a phone. So we are banking on that to reach the homes with digital solutions, using the phones as a measure of delivering services, especially prevention services. And our fourth major area is also strengthening institutional capacity and networks.
Zahara Abigaba, UBC News.
We'll now take a short commercial break and be returned with business news, so stay tuned.
Five times the winning, yeah. 5 times the happiness, yeah. 5 times the luckiness, yeah. 5 for 5, oh yeah. It's 5 for 5. 5 for 5. 5 times the money, yeah. 5 times the shopping, yeah. 5 times the prizes, yeah. 5 for 5, oh yeah. It's 5 for 5. 5 for 5.
Win! 100,000 Uganda shillings weekly in the 5 for 5 jackpot. Simply download the Center mobile app. Click Center on the go to open your account online. Transact 5 times or more using Center mobile, Center Visa, and Center agent to stand a chance to win. The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. So, participate in the 5 for 5 jackpot and win millions in daily and weekly prizes. The 5 for 5 jackpot is brought to you by Centenary Bank, our bank. Centenary Bank is regulated by the Bank of Uganda. Customer deposits are protected by the Deposit Protection Fund.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial *149*10# to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial *149*10*5#. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial *149*10# to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network. Brought to you by
Transact 5 times or more using Center Mobile, Center Visa, and Center Agent to stand a chance to win. The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. So, participate in the 5 for 5 jackpot and win millions in daily and weekly prizes. The 5 for 5 jackpot is brought to you by Centenary Bank, our bank.
Welcome back. You're still watching the UBC News Tonight. We now take you to the world of business. Now, affiliates of the Industrial Global Union Uganda have made a public call to administrators of various industries located along Ginger Road to take heed to the law and grant their workers the right to be registered under unions. Industrial Global Union members are concerned that the rights of thousands of Ugandan workers in these industries are being violated, especially by foreign-owned industries, under the guise of providing employment to Uganda's workforce. I had a chance to interact with some of them.
Located in Mbalala, Mukono. Jingo Investment Limited, located in Mbalala, Mukono. Unista, located in Mbalala, Mukono.
Various foreign and locally owned industries operating in Mbalala, Mukono have been accused of undermining their workers' rights by denying them a chance to join unions.
And this matter has gone very far. It has gone to the extent that even when they have been ordered to do so, still they have refused to allow workers to join. You know, it is a fundamental right, and it is enshrined in our constitution that the workers are free to join any union of their choice. So it is unfortunate that these companies who have opened up in Uganda, especially the Chinese companies, have refused to allow workers to unionize.
According to the International Labour Organization's Labour Union Act of 2006, unionizing is one of the policy measures that subscribing governments should institute to address the well-being of workers against unfair labour exploitation.
And indeed, we thank the government because the government has ordered them to do so. And we thank them. The letters are here, very clear, which shows that they have denied to recognize the union. A follow-up has been made, and only one company has signed what is called the recognition agreement.
Findings by the Industrial Global Union show that industrial workers in Uganda earn averagely between 5,000 to 7,000 shillings per day, and this is challenging their ability to meet economic obligations.
And if they're not reaching their threshold in payment, then it means they cannot also pay the taxation. Because right now the government is trying to advocate so that numbers of Ugandans pay tax.
So that's why we see a number of people migrating out of the country looking for better employment, yet we can improve the employment that we have in the country. We can improve the different workspaces that are in the country by paying better wages for the young people so that our future is certain.
Despite acknowledging the need to unionize industrial workers, some government officials have divergent views about how soon the minimum wage policy should be effected for the sector.
First things first, what is the country's biggest challenge? Is it an issue of minimum wage or it is an issue of unemployment? It is an issue of unemployment. So we need to first address this issue. Okay? We do know that at the back of our minds as government that we have to have minimum wage. We have to have protection of our workers. But we cannot start running after the minimum wage when we don't have the jobs.
The Industrial Global Union team in Uganda reported the concern to the Labour Office at the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development in 2020 and asserts that they intend to go to court should the respondents continue not to adhere to their call, allowing workers to be unionized. Watulo Makanold, UBC News. Furthermore, oil palm growers in Kalangala district say they have not felt an economic impact as the result of the COVID-19 outbreak in the Isles. They attribute this to price stability and the availability of market for palm oil products. The General Manager, Kalangala Oil Palm Growers Trust, David Balironda Mukasa Salongo, encourages farmers from other islands to embrace this enterprise.
Many things will welcome you to Kalangala district, including the beautiful scenery and hospitable nature of residents. Oil palm growing is one economic activity that has left those who embraced the enterprise smiling all the way to the bank monthly. Esther Namutebi, a youth hailing from Kawempe in Kampala, is one of the farmers. She got married here after graduating with a social works degree.
It is like a salary. Every month I get something that can sustain me throughout the month. So I thank God that at least I'm a youth who is doing something for herself. I don't beg anyone. Even though I have a husband, I don't beg him because I started something. He helped me to start something like palm growing.
Her story of success is not different from that of another oil middle-aged palm farmer, Godfrey Senyonga. Senyonga had ventured into coffee farming without success. He opted for oil palm growing and has since never looked back.
Mwanzali zikaze nenfuna sente ezo eziringa ez'obwereere nentandika okuwerera ku baana bange nga nzadde n'abaana nga batuse n'okusoma teka mu masomero.
Seated next to him is Aloni Katai Salongo, another oil palm farmer. He and this 63-year-old Josephine Namulindwa are appreciative to government for the introduction of this oil palm growing enterprise.
Sejo kyokka naye n'ekitundu Kalangala district yali wansi nnyo kati yenyumirizaamu
nyinza okuwa ekyokulabirako ettaka eka yagulanga $7,000 kati poloti Mukalanga Town Council etuuse mu bukadde 5.
Kugambye ku mbeera ya corona fe omulimi w'ekinazi gwe njogerera okusinga talemeddwa kufuna kyakulya, talemeddwa kufuna kwegamba mu mbeera yonna gye yeetaaga tubadde tugula n'emmotoka.
This, however, has not been without challenges, mainly environmental degradation.
Currently, we have 129 farmers who encroached on the buffer zone.
Pests and diseases have also been felt.
They are scanty. There are some scanty, but it's not so much of severity.
All these challenges, according to management of Kalangala Oil Palm Growers Trust, have been managed.
We designed the no application of fertilizer, because fertilizer is a chemical, and this chemical, when you apply it on a site like this one, it will just slope all the way into the lake, and that affects the water quality.
So what we do to control, we make a circle, we make a trench around the plant that has been affected. We expose, we stop the roots from moving from that localized area to another plant.
It is for this reason that other areas in Uganda, especially islands, have been encouraged to embrace oil palm growing.
So our brothers in Buvuma should not get worried that when there is a disease which is coming and therefore it will threaten them.
The venture has been supported by a $75.82 million loan and a $1.21 million grant from National Oil Palm Project. It is a 10-year undertaking that government and the International Fund for Agricultural Development agreed upon in November 2018. Henry Okrut, UBC.
In another development, Ministry of Works and Transport, Uganda Police has also been asked to engage driving schools to train cyclists in professional riding and core competence in motorcycle riding before issuance of a license. Now this follows research done by Makerere College Business and Management Sciences attributing the increasing accidents and mental illnesses to the use of drugs by financial motorcycle businessmen.
Research done in the 4 divisions of Kawempe, Nakawa, Lubaga and Machindye by Makerere College of Business and Management Sciences implicated the increasing road accidents to boda riders using drugs. According to the research, every 1 out of the 10 boda riders were found using drugs, hence the need of sensitizing cyclists about the use of substance abuse.
This population used illicit drugs was because they wanted to work longer. They wanted to get that stamina, that strength, to enable them not to sleep or get tired, to work longer so that they are able to earn. Many of them have loans, they are working hard, they have to support their families. So a combination of that was, those two were the main reasons why this population was using drugs.
Minister of Works and Transport, Uganda Police and other stakeholders were also urged to subsidize the cost of riding permits and oversee implementation in partnership with Uganda Police Force.
The objective of government to be able to take on these findings and incorporate them into policies going forward and also actions. From this research, you find that key findings have been brought out. One of them being that many of these riders don't have driving licenses. Many of them are talking about a school for riders, issues to do with why they are taking drugs, the supply, and so on.
equipping police and health facilities with on-spot testing equipments to conduct mandatory on-spot drug testing, especially cyclists that cause accidents, has been recommended.
During the study, we saw number of people going to Butabika increased, and we looked into the database because as we screen clients, we ask them, what is your profession, what do you do, and where are you from? So through screening of these clients, we realized that most of the clients were borders. And that's we realized that the numbers were going up. And we understood that it could be the effect of this study as it was ongoing in different study sites.
Government, particularly Uganda Police, has been urged to take lead in the intensification of measures to limit importation of illicit substances. Scaling up establishment of data on people using drugs to inform prioritization and advocacy for harm reduction interventions is important.
It is a challenge. People were scared and didn't know what the content of the oral swab was. There were concerns about whether it was meant to infect them with COVID. But of course, with the explanations and showing them what it was, some of them would finally accept to be part of the study through testing.
The public has been urged to adopt a community-based approach aimed at preventing illicit drug use and rehabilitation of users through engagement. Sudat Kaye, Zahara Abigaba, UBC.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries has issued 8 fresh guidelines for the fisheries subsector to ensure proper fishing on Uganda's water bodies. The new guidelines follow dwindling fish reserves amidst increased demand for the delicacy, especially Nile perch. Addressing journalists at the media center in Kampala, State Minister for Fisheries Helen Adoa decried increasing smuggling of the Nile perch to neighboring countries for fish more.
Meetings have been held and some resolutions have been implemented, including demolition of some illegal fishing nets. Despite all this, illegal fishing remains a thorn in the foot of the fisheries sector. This is the reason why the fisheries docket at the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries is reinforcing measures against illegal fishing.
Despite the effort to clear the illegal fishing in our lakes by Fisheries Protection Unit, the lake is still realizing and experiencing the decrease, especially now. The volume of available fish is still far less than the domestic and international demand.
Top among the concerns is the use of unlicensed boats and undersized nets to extract silverfish, also known as mukene or omena. In the process, unfortunately, this has resulted into catching immature Nile perch, rendering the species endangered.
Because of the calamities that we faced, which is COVID, overflooding, the catches again started declining, leading to factories experiencing and receiving 30,465.6 tons in 2020. And by June 2021, the factories were only able to access 8,000 tons. This decline is threatening the factories to close.
It is for such reasons that effective 1st October 2021, 8 new measures have to be adhered to by the fishers. These include that all boats below 28 feet leave lakes immediately, silverfish fishers to use nets of above 10 millimeters.
If anyone is found using any boat less than 28 feet by tomorrow, will be arrested and will not be handled in the local courts and will find himself or herself being tried in Buganda Road Court.
These guidelines result from a recent meeting chaired by the State Minister for Fisheries, Helen Adoa. It was attended by the Directorate of Fisheries Resources, Uganda Fish Processors and Exporters Association, Fisheries Protection Unit, and Association of Fishers and Lake Users.
All fishermen living in the landing site must be accompanied with a fish movement permit indicating the landing of origin, the quantity, and the destination processing facility.
Failure to follow these guidelines might lead to closure of fishing activities in lakes for 3 months, starting this year in December. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Karamoja sub-region has got a new multi-million-dollar 132 kilovolt substation. The station has been set up to facilitate mining activities in the area in addition to enhancing industrialization. Karamoja was formerly being served by a 33 kV power line from Soroti municipality, which was blamed for intermittent power supply.
The 132 kV electricity substation in Moroto district is the first of its kind in the region. Now in operation, the multi-million-dollar facility comes at a time when this region is steadily attracting massive investment, especially in the mining sector.
They were connected by way of a 33 MVA all the way from Soroti all the way to this place, and the power supply was very unreliable. Now bring this 132 kV all the way on a monopole. That is monopole from the. It has helped to stabilize the power. It has helped to ensure that there is power reliability in this region, and industries now and other companies can come and invest in this area, assured that there is reliable power supply to this region.
Electricity generation and distribution is top on government's agenda to elevate the country into the middle income status by the year 2030. Government is currently strategically intervening to address electricity disparity across the country.
This plant alone has all it takes to make sure that there is no vacuum. There is constant supply. The off-takers are there, more power is coming in, so it is a complete system. But the men and women who manage the system must be applauded. So I want to thank you so much.
I strongly believe that Moroto district and its neighboring districts of Kabong, Nakapiripirit, Amudat, that region is Uganda's next mining city.
The electricity grid from Opuyo substation in Soroti district, about 160 kilometers away, is served by the monopole. This new technology has been adopted in the recent years by Uganda Electricity Transmission Company Limited as a measure to curb vandalism of the electricity infrastructure.
They harvest the tower members, and some people go to the extent of cutting the entire tower from the base. The thing falls down and it is all vandalized. And even they go to the extent of uprooting the tower foundations so that you don't see any trace that once here there was a tower. And that's a big challenge to us, the country. It is actually borders on economic sabotage that we as citizens of this country we should fight against.
It is estimated that the country lost at least 25 billion shillings to vandalism and power theft in 2020. The unscrupulous scrap metal dealers are blamed for the rampant destruction of electricity equipment, which has often resulted to severe power uptime. Dennis Igoa for UBC News in Moroto.
Was brought to you by the 5 for 5 jackpot is brought to you by Centenary Bank, our bank.
We're now taking to the world of sports. Uganda has started benefiting from the construction of the Kiprotich High Altitude Center in Tayliet with numerous partnerships to see athletes travel from their respective countries for training. Now, the Serbian Minister of Sports, Vanja Udovic, is in the country benchmarking how his athletes can benefit from the Kapchora High Altitude Center.
From our side, they have indicated that they would want in the nearby future to also benefit from the Terret High Altitude Training Facility, because the Republic of Serbia is equally aware that the Republic of Uganda is a powerhouse in athletics, and they equally know, or we inform them, that most of our long distance athletes are from that region where we are constructing the facility. We have also agreed that in areas where the Republic of Serbia is doing well, that is in the field of football, basketball and volleyball, to mention but a few, we will, in the nearby future, upon conclusion of signing of the MOU, be having exchange programs between coaches and athletes of the two countries. But all these are dreams, all these are prospective areas that will first be contained in the MOU, that should be studied and later on signed in order for us to hit the road running.
Minister looking a little different right there. Uganda's men national volleyball team has returned from Rwanda, where fifth at the African Men Volleyball Championship was iconic. The team also registered highly on the individual award winners, with this confirming its status as one of the best units made of enterprising individuals. These are the details.
And labor ended, we shall come rejoicing, bringing in the sheaves. This seemed to be evident in real life for Ugandans at Entebbe Airport as the volleyball cranes returned from Rwanda. Down there over the past few days, the volleyball cranes rose to unprecedented heights and finished fifth at the African Nations Volleyball Championship, where 16 countries took part. Yes, they didn't win, but considering circumstances made worse by COVID-19, what they achieved as sheaves, Ugandans must relish.
Our teams never had access to the indoor facilities. We were just training in Nkumba, outdoors. Really, the conditions we operated to get these results were not good, but I'm happy that we really got the best we have ever got in this country as far as volleyball is concerned.
Under the guidance of the only female coach at the championship, Ashila Omuriwe Buyungo, the boys excelled and indeed scaled heights.
Oh Lord, it has been such a beautiful trip. We thank God for fifth, #1 in East Africa, so we are so thankful. We are so thankful to God. And thank you, Ugandans, for all your support. We did it. We did it for the country.
Yes, and that brings us to the end of the news tonight, this 17th day of September 2021. We'll now bring you the news weather update.
With your weather update. We are still having thunder showers in most parts of the country, but mainly over the lake shores and some parts of Arua. Then the rest of the country is experiencing light showers. Due to this, we had the highest of 21.8 millimeters of rainfall across Wadalai, Kasese with 17.7, Barara with 9, Kamuli with the lowest of 8.2 millimeters of rainfall. This is brought in by the widespread of rain belt over our country and over Africa, bring us the rainfall that we're having lately, not forgetting the local effects. Tomorrow morning, we expect to wake up with sunny intervals in most parts of the country, apart from some few areas like parts of Arua and Arua with the lake showers and some parts of the east that expect to have light showers. Afternoon hours, though, we expect a pick-up of thunder showers across the lake showers, but the rest of the country to experience light rain. Temperature to rise up to 29 degrees of Celsius across Karamoja region, 28 most parts of the country, 26 in our capital city Kampala, Kabale Highlands with a lowest of 22 degrees Celsius. US moving out of Uganda, touring the globe, we are forecasting light rain over Nairobi and some parts of Paris with a maximum of 25 degrees Celsius across Nairobi, London with cloudy conditions, Dubai and New York with sunny conditions at a maximum of 41 degrees Celsius across Dubai. Thanks for tuning on UBC. I remain Ukutesa Mili. Stay tuned and see you tomorrow.
Thank you for that, and that brings us to the end of the news tonight. My name is Wadulo Mark Arnold. Thank you for being a part of us, and have yourselves a lovely night.
In these unprecedented times, I need a partner that is there for me during the good days and the difficult ones. Who gives me a second chance in life?
Offers me guidance to make smarter and wiser financial decisions.
Who supports me move my ideas from ambition to achievement.
Who listens and understands my business.
A partner who is committed to